Kruger.
What is going on?
What's up, man?
Biggest party night of the year. And we're podcasting.
I love it.
Wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
Yeah, we usually go to steaks.
Yeah.
The night before Thanksgiving.
Is anyone going, or is we just got too old for that?
If anyone went, then they didn't invite me.
Yeah, or me. So
yeah, that's funny.
It's one of those last couple of Thanksgivings. Like I've never had the urge to really go out, but I've always wondered, be like, are people still going out?
I guess it's still a thing.
I mean, there's definitely people going out. I just don't know if it's our friends or not.
No, I talked to Adam briefly today, and I talked to Dave. So Kerwin works for K9 Fence, but he drives around like a van.
Yep.
And I saw him on like a back road in Uxbridge, kind of Northbridge.
Just random area.
In the road was so small, we almost touched the cars, and I was like, I think that's Kerwin, and I emailed him, I called him. Long story short, he wasn't planning on going out tonight.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
It's the kids. It's the kids. Yeah.
It is. It's babysitters.
Every time someone asks me if I want to go out, I think of the repercussions of the next morning of my daughter waking up at 6:30 in the morning with a hangover. I just can't. It's.
Oh, Lee's going. I don't know if Jen does it, but the Black Friday thing.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, Lee's going out pretty early, so Luke will be up, and I'll have him for the entire morning. So. Yeah, I don't want to be hungover, hanging out with the kids.
Yeah.
So, glad to talk to you. It's been a couple weeks. Lots happened in the sports world. I guess we'll start off with the man, the myth, the legend. The guy's got 3 World Series rings. I mean, David Ortiz.
Yep.
So much to talk about with what happened. Was it last week?
Last Monday, I think. Well, it kind of leaked out that he was going to report it the next day.
Yeah. So he comes out and he says he's entering the final year of his contract with the Sox, and he comes out and says, this upcoming season's my last.
Yep.
I guess what's your – because I have – like I said, there's so many different ways to look at this, and so we can overanalyze it and dissect it all we want. But what's your overall thought on – not David Ortiz, the player, but just the whole situation about how he announced it?
I think people are looking too much into it.
Yeah.
This Players the Players Tribune?
Yeah. So
the way you got to look at it is these players, whatever sport you play, are just hounded by reporters all season long by requirement. So I think it's a way for the players to announce what they want to announce on their terms and what they want to say, rather than doing it through a team. Or people were talking about, he wasn't wearing any Red Sox stuff when he announced it. Or I didn't actually really listen to the whole thing, but didn't really say a whole lot about the Red Sox. Let it go,
Now, for those people, the Players Tribune started by Jeter, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
So Derek Jeter started a website.
It's only a year or two old because he did it after he retired.
Yeah, so I think it might be theplayerstribune.com, or if you just Google the Players Tribune, you can pop up. It'll pop up, but it's essentially the players writing their own articles.
Yep.
And some of them are pretty good.
Yep.
Some of them are like in-depth looks at training sessions or like a day in the life.
Yep.
It's actually not a bad website, but I thought it was unique how now I can't confirm it. I heard it on the radio that Ortiz is like part owner of this website or part.
Ooh.
So that if that's the case, then that makes sense. But I thought it was a little odd how it leaked out that he was going to retire.
Yep.
And then at one point they were saying there was going to be a press conference at Fenway Park.
And then they denied that there was, obviously, because there wasn't a press conference. I remember listening to the radio that morning. They basically said, yeah, that's a rumor. There's no press conference here today.
So you have to take everything with a grain of salt when it comes to the Red Sox. And there always seems to be something behind why they do whatever they do, whether it's the timing.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about some other rumors in a bit, but people were talking about, okay, they're making the announcement now because ticket sales and holiday season. Yep. I mean, I kind of believe that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I don't know if you think, again, that's looking into it too much, but I just...
Well, the funny thing is during the Rivera and Jeter year, they asked Ortiz about that, and he's like, "No, I'd never." He doesn't want the whole year. Like, remember when Rivera and Jeter went around everywhere they went, they got something, you
Yeah,
know.
they got like benches made out of
Yeah,
baseball
you know,
bats
they'd
and
get,
hoops.
like boats and all kinds of stuff. And now Ortiz does that, kind of setting up the farewell tour. Now, we all love David Ortiz, but in the grand scheme of baseball, he's not Mariano Rivera or Derek Jeter, I don't think.
No. Do you think he's gonna get that type of
No.
affection? Like, do you think they're gonna, before the first game of a 3-game series in Seattle?
Probably not.
No.
I think someone like the Yankees would do something for him. Kind of like saying, hey,
Tampa Bay.
we understand that, you've been a rival and you've killed us for a bunch of years, but we do respect you. It's very similar to what the Red Sox did with Jeter and Rivera before their last games.
Do you think? Oh, well, let me just say this. I don't like how it happened.
Yep.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think there's some other motive behind him announcing it when and how he did.
Yep.
Do you think now's the right time for him to step away?
Here's the problem is, so you got David Ortiz, who I don't remember what he hit, but he had 35 home runs and 100-plus RBIs. What if he goes out there and is very productive?
Another 30 and 90.
Yeah, 30 and 90, and the Red Sox are pretty good. Or I guess that my concern is I just hate it when players. What if he decides halfway through that maybe I'm not done? Maybe I'm not ready to be done yet.
Yeah.
Like the Brett Favre situation. He retired, then he comes back because he wants to play. He plays. He's pretty productive. Gets hurt at the end of the Jet season, then comes back to the Vikings and he's like outstanding.
Yeah.
And then he's retiring 3 times. You just don't want to see. I would rather have him. Okay, plan it in the Red Sox. Be like, hey, look, I'm thinking this might be my last year.
Yep.
But be like, but I don't know yet. Like, I feel like in the middle of a season, let's say halfway through the year, he's just not. Like, I'll give you a great example. When Chipper Jones retired, I read an article about Chipper Jones. His last year, he was fairly productive. And he's like, and basically, it was in Sports Illustrated. And basically, in the article, he says, "Look, I know what all the fans and all the people are. They're looking at my stats and they're pretty good." He's like, "I feel terrible. Like I'm beat up. My body's not the same. I can't continue to do that. I would rather see something like that happen.
Yeah.
Rather than now where, I mean, what if at the end of the year he's at 30 and 100 and he's a free agent and someone calls and says, "Hey, I got $12 million here for you.
Yeah.
To be the DH for the Mariners."
Yeah. I was just going to say that to you. I was going to say, what if at the end of the year, even the Yankees or the Mariners come calling?
Exactly.
Here's $12 to $15 million. Can you just play one more year? Hey, you can even sit some road trips out, or you can leave early for the All-Star break. Something like that.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think it maybe it didn't really catch on, but it happened with Steven Drew. It seemed like maybe Morales. It seems like, or at least with the pitchers, like Pettit did it.
Yep.
They would sit out half the year.
Yep. Clemens did it for a while.
Clemens did it. I'm kind of glad that didn't stick on. I feel like with baseball, it's just repetition every day.
Yeah.
And if as a hitter, I don't know, maybe you can get your timing back quick, but
the thing is though is he's like you look at him and he's a DH. Yeah. So he's I think he just turned 40. I mean, he was productive last year. And you tell me you can't get another 2 years out of him?
Now, let's be honest, too. I mean, he has us thinking he's 40.
Yeah.
I love Greg and the Dominican people, but a lot of times those Dominicans,
Vladimir Guerrero was like 55 when he retired. We thought he was like 40.
I think Greg said something, I don't know if it was his wife or they were watching the game, and she goes, "How old is Ortiz?" And Greg says, he's 40 here. And she laughed and said, "There's no way he's 45 at least."
Yeah.
Which would make it even more impressive what he's doing. But okay, so let's just put the conspiracy theory away for a second and say, all right, he's done. He's going to retire.
Maybe his body doesn't feel it. He wants to be with his family. Yeah, God bless him if that's the case. He's made a ton of money in his career. He's set his family up for years and years to come. Yep. Maybe he's just ready. That's what I hope. Personally,
he's made enough money. He steps away.
Well, let me throw one other situation out there. Maybe he just sees athletes in general and doesn't want to be Kobe Bryant or doesn't want to be Peyton Manning, where you just hang on too long.
Maybe that could be it.
I hope. Don't you kind of hope that as opposed to other stuff?
See, I just feel like where he's in a DH position, I feel like if he took it year to year, I feel like he could keep playing for a while. I really do.
The crazy thing is if he took it year to year, he'd have interest every year to play.
Yeah.
So if he basically said in his head, all right, I'm going to see how I feel in middle of September and the next year. And if he's productive, there's going to be teams out there that want him, whether it's the Red Sox or, whoever it may be. Because you might not want to sign a full-time DH, but at the same time, you need a productive hitter.
As we're talking, it is Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. Celtics are in Boston playing the Sixers, who are 0-15, 0-16.
I think they're 0-16.
They haven't won a game, and Boston's coming off a couple tough losses back-to-back. Well, not back-to-back nights, but back-to-back games. Brooklyn and Atlanta. They got
hammered last
night. National TV, too.
Not a good look because you don't have a ton of national TV games.
You got to make them count.
By the way, someone counted it up. The Los Angeles Lakers have 17 more national TV games
This year? Ugh.
They're 2-13, including a game with the Clippers on Christmas Day.
Oh, boy. That might be a 50.
Can you, flex out of those?
Yeah, change the opponent. Back to Ortiz, and, three times, 2004, 07, 13.
Yep.
He's got World Series rings. Hey, don't you feel kind of old? Because
Yep.
I feel like yesterday it was 2003, 2004.
Yep, when we were in college, freshman year.
Yeah. Who is this Ortiz guy?
Yeah.
Why isn't he playing more?
Yep.
Wow, oh my God, he's really good. Well, clutch hits. What's your favorite Big Papi moment? When you think Big Papi, you obviously think of the clutch hitting.
Yep.
But is there one specific at bat, one game, one moment that stands out?
2004, Game 7.
Yankees?
Remember what happened right before that? Manny Ramirez singles to left field. Johnny Damon gets thrown out at home plate.
No, I don't remember that.
So
Crap.
It's
What inning are we in?
top of the first inning. You got
Wait,
first
Game
and second.
7?
Game 7 of the ALCS
Against the Yankees. Okay. So at Yankees.
Johnny Damon's out second base.
Yep.
And Manny Ramirez hits a weak single to left field, ground ball single, just gets by Jeter. Damon hesitates. Dale Swain sends him, and he gets thrown out at home.
And is this early?
This is early.
Okay.
It's 0-0.
Okay.
So you're thinking,
Momentum.
that was our one shot.
Yeah.
The next pitch, David Ortiz hits a 2-run homer.
Was that off of
Kevin Brown.
Kevin Brown.
And it was just one of those moments where, those moments didn't happen to the Red Sox before. You know what I'm saying? The next guy would have popped up and something bad would have happened.
Twisted his ankle.
Yeah. I think that whole 2004 year, that series, I think was a special one. But there's so many. 2013, he was unstoppable. He hit almost 700 in the World Series.
The only playoff game I've ever been to was the what was it? Game 3 of the ALDS. What was the Tigers 2013?
The ALCS. The
That
Game
was
2.
ALCS?
The Game 2 Grand Slam.
Yeah, to tie it at
Yep.
5, I believe, off what was it, Benoit?
Yep. And think about that. They almost got no hit in Game 1.
Yeah, it was.
And they were getting no hit in Game 2.
Scherzer
Yeah.
was on the mound,
Yep.
and I remember Mike and I met up. We went to the game. We were sitting on the Budweiser roof deck.
Yep.
And so we were looking right down. I mean, it wasn't warm.
Yep.
It was if you had asked, it was a bad game. Holy crap, I can't believe
Yeah.
they're gonna get swept.
Yep.
And next thing you know, bases loaded. And when he hit that ball, I tell you, I this is a cliche saying, it's corny, but if there was a roof on Fenway, that place would have exploded.
Well, you really think about the situation. You were down 1-0 already. You lost with Lester on the mound in Game 1. You lost 1-0. You almost got no hit by multiple pitchers, if I remember, because Sanchez walked 6 guys.
Yeah.
So they had to take him out. You're losing Game 2, and you have Verlander Game 3. And at the time, Verlander was Verlander.
Yeah.
So, you go down 2-0, going back to Detroit, oh boy, And then Lackey outdueled Verlander 1-0.
That was the ALCS.
Yeah.
Who did they play in the ALDS? Why it's
The Rays. Remember they played the Rays with, where
Price.
Price complained about
Okay.
Papi pimping home runs.
I was thinking about something with the NFL. They were talking about Gostkowski and Vinatieri and all that, and the field goals. and I tried to remember the first 3 Super Bowls, and I was like, I'm pretty sure all 3 of those Super Bowls were decided by a field goal.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap! But the fact that I had to try and remember,
Yep.
I was like, oh man, I used to be able to rattle off this and that, and now I'm losing that ability. I don't know if it's just because my priorities have changed a little bit or because I'm getting older, but it's like how you just said that thing about Manny and
Yeah.
Damon. I do not remember that.
There's
at all.
just a
But it
lot
sounds
of there's
right.
a lot of Ortiz moments where you just like you see him on TV or you watch a highlight and you just like remember where you were.
How important is it? Because you brought up Manny getting the hit, Damon getting thrown out at
Yep.
home, so it's kind of on the third base coach for sending him, but it's also on Damon. So you've got 2 guys right there that are like,
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah.
And then how can you can speak to this because you are involved in baseball on a daily basis and you coach young athletes. Like, how important is it for that next guy up to pick them up? Like, because in another scenario, say a guy's on third, less than 2 outs,
Yep.
and he grounds out or strikes out, doesn't get that guy home.
Yep.
He goes back to the dugout. His head's still,
Yeah,
in
he's
his
pissed.
head.
Yep.
The next guy up gets a hit. The run gets in.
It's especially in an environment like that.
Yeah.
So you're in Yankee Stadium. The place is all. First of all, the place is nervous because you've won 3 in a row,
Yeah.
and you're 1 game away from winning from the biggest comeback in sports history. Place is going crazy, and then they quiet them like that, and then everyone's like, "Oh shit, here we go."
Yeah.
We're done.
Okay. Yeah.
I just think that's the one that just always, everyone remembers the walk off in 2000 that series and stuff, but that's one that always sticks with me because even when you were watching it, you're like, we've come this far and we're gonna lose this series,
Yeah, they tattooed Brown around, and who did they bring in? Esteban Loaiza? No.
Javier Vasquez.
Yeah. Vasquez, yes.
And it's funny, you look back and you remember, and they ended up getting up like 6, 7, 8 nothing. So you're like, it was a breeze. But at that time when he got thrown out, you're like, this isn't happening. We've come this far, and this isn't happening.
Oh man, so 2004. Yeah, wow, that was a while ago. All right, well, let me ask you this about the Ortiz thing. How does this affect the Red Sox moving forward? Because the last podcast we did,
Yep.
we did 2 last time we were together. The recorder kind of crapped the bet on us. So
Yep.
I can't remember if it got on or not, but I was against the Chris Davis signing.
Yep.
I bashed Chris Davis. I don't think that podcast got released.
Yep.
And now, if you're telling
$200
me,
million.
but if you're telling me you're going to move Hanley to DH
Yep.
and Chris Davis play first base, okay, let's talk a little bit. Now you got lefty righty power. I'm okay now. But
I'm
Chris
still
Davis,
not. I don't know about Chris Davis. He concerns me. I don't think Ortiz retired because of this, but the more I think about it, I don't think they're moving Hanley Ramirez. I don't think anyone wants him.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's stuck with us.
I can believe nobody wants him.
So I read something that I think it was, who was it? Nick Cafardo asked 7 Major League GMs if they would take Hanley Ramirez if the Red Sox paid half of his salary, and all 7 said no.
Oh, jeez.
Now, saying that, I wouldn't. If he's just a DH, I think he'd be okay.
Yeah.
I think he can hit. What do you do this year? I don't know.
Like, so.
I just don't think Chris Davis is your long-term solution.
No, I don't think so either. It would be fun to watch Hanley and Chris Davis back. I think it would be fun if they stayed healthy and hit home runs, but I don't know. I'm very vocal about Hanley at first. I don't trust him over there. I think your defense, your outfield, you'll have if your outfield remains intact and it's Castillo, Bradley, Betts.
Yeah.
Because now they're saying Bradley's going to play center field. Yep. Which I don't know if that's... See, I don't know what the Sox say this offseason. Like, I honest to God feel like WEEI has a Red Sox hot stove show every Tuesday night.
Yep.
Because the Red Sox want them to, and they want Farrell to go on there, and they want him or Dombrowski to pump up so-and-so's tires.
Yep.
Like, why go in there and say Hanley's going to play first base and he's going to play 140 games? Like, why would you say that at the beginning of November on a Tuesday night radio show? And then why would you go on the show and say Jackie Bradley's our center fielder? Like, why are you doing that now? And the only reason I can think of is because they're trying to move Hanley and they're trying to move Jackie and they're trying to inflate their
Absolutely. I
worth.
think that's something always GMs and managers are always trying to do. But I think it's also a fluid situation. A lot of it depends on what teams are interested in.
Yeah.
It depends on, and I think a lot of teams have different vibes on different players. Some teams like Jackie Bradley Jr. more than other teams.
Yeah.
Some teams don't buy into, his kind of quote unquote resurgence last year. Some do. I personally, if you have the deal out there, I would trade him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade Betts. I wouldn't trade Betts and Bogarts. Those are
Really, two untouchables.
Swihart, great, but if there's something big out there,
Whoa, you're a catcher.
I know.
Wow.
I'm just that.
I thought you were going to say Swihart, Betts, and Bogarts.
Swihart is definitely number 3. I wouldn't. I would try and stay away from him, but
Would you trade Rodriguez there? If say you could package him for Chris Sale.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
You see the picture, like someone put picture of Chris Sale on Twitter, and it's like, he's got that funky delivery, and basically the picture is him with his elbow like this,
Yeah.
and they're like, why would you trade for a guy whose elbow is going to explode? And it's like it looks like his elbow's like hanging out.
He's one of those guys that could go. So in my fantasy baseball league, he was one of my keeper guys, and I traded him like 2
Yeah.
years ago because I looked at him and I said, "There's no way a guy who's that skinny and frail
Can
and
stay
throws
healthy."
that hard
Yeah.
is going to stay healthy." And I'm like, he's going to have Tommy John in no time. So, but then he's the guy who could go either way.
Yeah.
Because he's so long and lanky that maybe he's just built to be
Yeah.
sling it up there.
Yep.
Or he's gonna break down and never be the same.
See, I don't know if you can really judge that now. Like Mark Pryor had the perfect delivery.
Yeah,
He couldn't
yeah,
stay
it's
healthy to save his life.
perfect build,
Perfect build,
delivery.
perfect delivery. Couldn't get injured. Nolan Ryan pitched 200 innings every year for 25 years. And Randy Johnson was never hurt, and those guys were never hurt.
So there was a report that came out. I don't know. Late last week, midweek, something, saying the Red Sox. It was Tom Verducci,
Yep.
who you again reminded me does not have Twitter, which is amazing in this day and age.
Don't you kind of wish he had Twitter because he's so good?
Yeah. He's been doing it for years, and he usually gets his
really
stories
trusts
right.
himself if he can not be on Twitter and know that he knows what he's doing.
Like he doesn't care about breaking the story first. He just wants to get
Are you on Twitter?
for work.
So I'm always on Twitter, and I follow a lot of national guys, and all of it is just reporting what someone else reported, like so and so signs for this X amount as reported by Ken Rosenthal. So you're just basically re-reporting some. It's kind of dumb.
Yeah, like if they think,
Or
that,
it's like Ken confirmed that so and so. It's like yep, it was already reported 20 minutes ago.
why do you have to say? What is it? Just like a? It's actually I know what you're talking about. It's kind of funny because they have to give the original source credit.
Yeah.
It's must be the new social media thing for reporters.
Yeah, common courtesy.
Yeah, hey, make sure you mention my
Yeah.
handle in your tweet because I got it first. I think these guys think that, if I follow Ken Rosenthal, I'm going to follow John Heyman. And if I follow John Heyman, I'm going to follow John Morosi or whatever his name is. And then so on. So I'm going to, because when I click on to follow one of them, people.
Yeah, it's right there,
So
sitting
I
right
just
there.
click on them all. So it's like some guy, like you just said, tweets it, and then my
I actually
timeline.
stopped following a lot of the local guys because they had no info. The national guys would have all the info. I'm like, you guys are with the team every day and you don't have any info?
Felger loves pointing that out.
Yeah.
How all the national guys get these stories before the local media guys, and I actually think it's kind of funny too because the Boston and New England market is so oversaturated.
Yeah.
With sports reporters,
Yep.
Journalists, whatever you want to call it, and then a big story breaks, and
Ken Rosenthal from Los Angeles has it.
yeah.
You're like,
well,
yeah.
him or Verducci reported the Ortiz thing too? I thought, or was it
Rosenthal reported the both the Ortiz thing and the Craig Kimball trade.
Oh, the Kimball trade. Did we talk about the Kimball trade?
No.
No. I like it.
I love it.
Me too.
See, here's the problem.
They have him for 3 years, I think.
Yeah, and look, he's a frontline Closer, no doubt. But like, I love listening to all these fans. You gave up too much. You gave up too much. Yeah, 7 days ago you didn't even know who these prospects were.
I only heard of who's the Margot?
Yeah.
I heard of him before, but the other three guys,
And look, a lot of the quote unquote experts said they probably gave up too much. But you know what? Look, those guys aren't going to be ready for 4 years.
Yeah.
That's why you stock. I say it all the time. That's why you stock your farm system so you can trade some of them.
And Dombrowski's known for that, huh?
Look, and this is, we talked about this with the David Price, Greinke, is Dave Dombrowski would not have come here if Henry was like, you can't trade any of your guys and you can't spend any money. He is going to trade guys and he's going to be allowed to spend money. Yeah. If Henry's like, no, we're sticking to this budget, Dombrowski's like, yeah, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah,
because
go hire a 30-year-old.
Yeah, who's a young guy, who's a money ball guy. And yeah. I kind of respect it because he's all in and it's big market, but like it's all these are they going to spend? Yeah, he's going to go out there and try and spend money.
So do you buy the report that Verducci came out with? We talked about a little bit before we turned this on. I thought the wording was unique. The report leaked by Verducci that said the Red Sox are going to aggressively pursue.
What I got from it,
yeah,
they're going to be the top bid. I don't know if David Price wants to come here.
Greinke, I think we can rule out, right?
Let
me ask you this. I mean, I know when you get into like millions of dollars,
yeah.
When you get into $150 million, it's like, come on, like, how much money do you really need?
Yeah.
But when you're talking like another $5 to $10 million per year per season, that's going to be really tough to turn down.
And I guess that was the thing that I got out of it was I don't know if he doesn't want to come here, but maybe for a guy like David Price, there's more to it than just the highest bidders. Maybe he's not comfortable here. Yeah. We talked about, him and Papi haven't exactly been the best of friends. Now, 9 out of 10 times, if you have an opportunity to make $200 million, you kind of put that aside and say, hey, we don't have to be best of friends, but we can live with each other for the next,
Yeah. However long.
Yeah, 7, 8 years. Well, 1 year, according to David.
7, 8 months.
Yeah. So, I like it. He's aggressive. I hope it doesn't get crazy, where you're bidding against another team and it's like 200, 210, 220,
So conspiracy theory again. Do you think they know they can't get either of those guys and they just leaked that report to get you and me talking about it, get everyone talking about it at Thanksgiving and Christmas around the holidays? Do you think it's their way?
How about I flip it? Maybe David Price leaks it, his side, saying like, hey, look, the Red Sox are really hard in. Maybe we can get another team involved.
That's why I like talking to you, Kruger. I haven't thought about that.
It could go either ways. And remember, Mark Teixeira kind of did that with the Red Sox.
Yeah. See, if I was a big market team like the Sox or the Yankees, I think you said do it. They'll say, all right, 10 years, $250 million. You have 24 hours.
Well, I think the one thing I read about Teixeira and the Yankees is basically, and of course we didn't know this at the time, is basically, about this time he called up Mark and said, hey, look, you're our guy, okay? Go out there and get your offers and come back to us and we'll top it, And they never leaked anything. Then all of a sudden, he said, all right, this is what the Red Sox gave me, and he said, okay, we're gonna give you this.
That's a little shady to me.
Yeah.
That's a little shady business. I don't know if I like that. But I if I'm the Sox, and listen, David, we've talked to a few GM. We know how much you're worth. We know how much someone's going to offer you. Here's our offer.
Yeah.
It's 15% higher than any other offer that you're going to get. Take it or leave it. You have a day. You have the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'd say then that's it. But I also think the Sox, remember, was it Schilling? They had Thanksgiving at Schilling's house or something.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like right around this time. And I feel like something happened at Christmas, too. When did the Gonzalez and Crawford thing go down? Was that Thanksgiving or Christmas? I just feel like I swear it's their marketing department.
What happened around Christmas, and it didn't work out, was the Daisuke Matsuzaka deal. Remember,
really?
They were over in Japan, or they met in Los Angeles, and then they flew home.
But that's like... They just...
This is the time of year when stuff starts to ramp up because you got your the winter meetings coming up in a couple weeks.
When are they? They're in Nashville?
Yeah, it's like December 6th through the 10th or something.
I might have to get the MLB Network back just to watch. Yeah, just for that week. Yeah, so I don't know. I think I would love to see Price and Greinke. The more I think about it, and the more I look at the history of these big deals, I'm against giving a pitcher 6-7 years.
Yep.
I mean, Christ, look at Sabathia now. Like, oh man,
Yeah.
that deal is ugly. Look at Verlander.
He's got 4 or 5 years left.
Yeah, I mean, what else? I mean, let's get into position players, but Pujols just had surgery, might not be ready for the season.
Cano has 8 years left.
Cano.
Yeah.
I read somewhere he wants to go back to the Yankees. But if you're a team, like what? I think the only deal that makes sense to me for both sides, more so the team, is Stanton and the Marlins.
Yeah.
Like after his opt-out year, which is 6-7 years,
Yep.
if you look at it, it's only, and I say only because in baseball terms,
Yep.
it's like very reasonable, like
Yeah.
10 to 12, $13 million a year.
And it works great for both guys because if he does opt out, it's like 6 years, 100, like 200 million.
Yeah.
So it's a great deal.
Yeah.
And so he can opt out, and then they're not due the rest of it. And if they stay in for the final four, it's manageable. I mean, it's still 12, 13, but it's not crazy.
Mattingly took over in
Yeah.
Florida, right?
Yep.
Miami. You think you think that's gonna mean anything?
Isn't he from there?
I don't know. I figured he's from New York, but that's probably not right. Just because he played for the
Yeah.
Yankees for so long. But do they have any talent? Like, are they gonna compete? Isn't that kind of interesting? Did he take that job to like? Do you feel like? I feel like nowadays as a manager, if you don't work out one place or you get fired, same
Yeah.
with maybe basketball, any
Yeah.
sport, you go into commentating or you disappear for a year or two.
Then you
like
come
Frank
back.
Kona,
Yeah.
I think did the year in the booth at
Yeah.
ESPN. I feel like you're more likely to get hired at a new job that way.
Yeah. Take a year, kind of sit back.
Yeah, and I feel like Mattingly got fired by the Dodgers, and then a week later he was the Marlins manager. There was like no, he was just like, I need another job, and maybe he just needs the money. I don't know, but
Well, I think the problem with the Dodgers is they weren't willing to commit to him long term. That was
Yeah.
kind of the issue. I don't think they necessarily thought there was something wrong with him. They just weren't willing. Well, they did because they didn't commit to him long term. But hey, I mean, there are a lot of people predicting the Marlins might be a wild card team before the year.
real, yeah, he's pitching maybe with Jose back,
Fernandez
healthy.
back for the whole year.
Stanton. I feel like Stanton missed a lot of time.
He
What
did.
happened to him this year?
His wrist.
His wrist.
Yeah.
He seems to be hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, he still finished. He missed what?
Someone said he missed like 3 months and he still finished in the top 10 in home runs in the NL. Something crazy.
He was on a torrid pace for a
he
little
would have
while.
hit almost 60, at least 60 home runs.
We mentioned the Dodgers. You and I talked a little bit about this. We both absolutely love it. Dave Roberts, the new manager for the Dodgers. I believe he's the first minority manager in Dodgers history.
Correct. Yep.
Which is kind of crazy.
Considering they had the first African American player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. But you look at a guy who not only is a World Series champion, I mean, he's a cancer survivor.
Yep.
The guy's kind of got one of. I mean, everybody who was watching that game in 2004, the guy pitch runs for Millar.
Yep.
You know he's stealing.
Yep.
Everybody and their mother knew he was stealing.
Yep.
And he stole that bag.
And Jorge Posada had the best pop time the Yankees have ever recorded him having that throw.
Roberts was a half a tick.
I mean, it's like it still gives. Sometimes I see it and I still look away.
Safe.
It was like, yeah, he's good.
The guy, I like Dave Roberts. I think he was the interim coach.
Was he
or manager
for a little
with the
bit? Yeah.
Padres.
Yep. He was their bench coach, and then they fired Black, and there was like a week or so before they hired someone else.
I like the hire. I think he's going to be very successful. I think he'll get the players to listen to him.
I think he's going to command a room. He's won. He's not. He knows the ins and outs of the game. He's been a grinder. It's not like he was a superstar.
Yeah.
I just think he's going to be really good a really good leader, if you will.
Now, interesting to me, and I didn't even think of it till Gabe Kapler was Gabe Kapler and Dave Roberts,
Yep.
and as the two finalists, and Gabe Kapler on Twitter, he essentially hand wrote a note,
Yep.
endorsing Dave Roberts, saying, hell of a guy.
Yep.
He's going to do great. But in the note, he said, I played with Dave Roberts twice, and it was like 1995 in some minor league team,
Yep.
then 2004. And I go, holy crap.
They're teammates, right?
2004 World Series. And
Yep. Kapler's going to get a job at some point, you would think. So I don't think he's...
Wasn't he managing in the Sox system for a little while?
Yeah, he was managing one of their minor league teams.
Yeah.
And he's going to get a job somewhere at some point.
Yeah. I'd like to see some. I mean, baseball, they do it a little bit more. Football, I feel like basketball, they recycle a lot of the coaches.
Yep.
Like Sam Mitchell's still coaching. Bernie Bickerstaff.
Yeah.
It's like they keep, like, just Scott Skiles. Everybody hates him, and his players bitch, but he always lands a job somewhere. I don't understand it. But I'd love to see Gabe Kapler, and I'd love to see Varitek get into coaching. And it's because now we can tell our kids and have conversations a year later is going, man, you should have seen
him play.
This clip of Dave Roberts. Man, Gabe Kapler tore his Achilles running the bases on a home run in Toronto, but oh man, he's a hell of a player. You know, I think Dave Roberts is going to be very good. Now, I do think the Dodgers have to do something with that roster.
I thought after they got knocked out, I thought they were going to be in for somewhat of an overhaul. Yeah. You're starting to kind of read that there's been some issues with Puig, in the clubhouse. I don't think a lot of players like what he stands for, if you will.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do? I mean, you've got some guys that are making some big money that aren't producing.
You have to eat a little bit of payroll. So I feel like the way you have to shed big contracts.
Yeah.
So, like, there's realistically only three ways. You trade a bad contract for a bad contract.
Yep.
You trade a bad contract and attach a top prospect.
Yep.
And you probably have to eat some money.
Yep.
Or you just have to eat some money.
And just say, here you go.
Yeah. Which, the Hanley thing's interesting because would you want to eat all of that money just to get rid of him? Like, is he that bad?
If they were to, let's just say they trade him and they eat a ton of money.
More than half.
More than half. That signals that not only he doesn't fit here, but there's problems off the field.
So
too.
then if you're the team,
why would you do it?
Why would you do it?
Yeah.
If a team's coming to you and say, we're going to eat more than half this guy's salary, do you want him?
Yeah.
Unless he's got like a mentor or some guy he's played with for a long time on the other team.
This is what drives me crazy. Fans out there, baseball fans, basketball fans, football fans, when you make a trade, when you propose a trade, the other team actually needs to want the player. You can't just give them to them and force them to take it. Like, they have to actually want the player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just throw this guy in there. Throw Pablo in there too. No, they actually want to need him. They need him and they want him. Like, they don't just take him and say, sure, who do you want?
Yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more complicated in basketball because...
Well, in basketball, you're matching up
Salary
contracts and salary cap and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's
You got to see whose contracts, equal to what, and expiring contracts are like gold.
Switching gears a little bit, we've been real baseball heavy. I don't know if you saw it the other night. I don't even know who they were playing, but the Cavaliers were essentially what happened. LeBron James drove to the hoop. Something happened, and the whistle blew, and LeBron went right to the bench.
Yep.
And there was no one at the table to sub in for him.
Yeah.
So they threw the ball into play and ran down to the other side of the court, and the Cavs got called for a technical foul because they only had 4 players on the court.
You can get a technical for too little players?
Yeah, too many, too little. Did you see this?
I heard about it. I didn't see it live.
So I saw it and I go, all right. And then I watched it again. I read a little bit about it. Listen, I want so badly to like LeBron James.
Yeah.
We're around the same age. He's very talented. He strikes me as that guy that, like, I've sent you a couple texts. You don't tell me how hard you're working.
Yeah.
Right? Let your actions speak for themselves.
Yeah.
He just seems like he's distracted. He's surrounded by too many yes men.
Yeah.
He walks into a room and people kind of, oh, hey, LeBron's here. But Like, I just can't picture a Bird or a Jordan. And maybe they did it at one point,
Yeah.
right? Like, everything's magnified now
Yeah.
between all the number of cameras, the camera angles,
Yep.
what devices you can watch these games on, how many Fox Sports 1,
Yep.
ESPN, local channels,
It's crazy.
NBA TV. So you have so many analysts, right? So maybe everything's just, maybe Bird did do this.
Yeah.
Maybe
And we didn't see it.
Yeah, maybe Jordan did it and we didn't see it. But I don't know. I guess I don't know what my opinion on it is. It's just weird. He does.
You ever heard
weird
his like
stuff.
post game stuff? Like everything's I.
Yeah.
And like I think it was when they were playing the Spurs in the finals, they like took Tim Duncan's post game and LeBron's post game, and Tim Duncan every time is like, yeah, we this, we that, and LeBron's like, I need to do a better job of distributing, and I need to you know, and it's weird.
And I think, unfortunately, the NBA, I mean, the Celtics could play the best team basketball for the rest of the season, and they're not going to win the championship.
You need
In the
superstars.
NBA, you need superstars, and those superstars know they're superstars.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, are we going to hate on? Well, see, now you bring up the Spurs. Are the Spurs? But the Spurs have superstars.
I mean, Tim Duncan's a superstar.
Okay, so here's another thing. We're bouncing around like crazy, but I could care less. So my Nance France brought over, or Lindsay and Laura brought me the paper. This was in the Globe back in November 8th.
Yep.
It was re-ranking the top 50 NBA players. I don't know if you saw this.
Nope.
But they have Jordan at 1, Russell
Yep.
at 2, Chamberlain at 3, Magic at 4, Kareem at 5, Jerry West, the NBA logo's at 6. They have LeBron at 7.
Okay.
Oscar Robertson's 8, Bird is 9, and you have Kobe Bryant at 10. I'm not going to go through all 50.
Yeah.
But the one guy who's not on this that I think should be is
Yep.
the guy we just mentioned, Timmy Duncan.
So
How are you going to put LeBron on here before Tim Duncan?
is Tim Duncan on here at all? He has to be in the top 50.
16.
Let me just, can I see that first?
So look at who's 15. Why would you put 15 ahead of Tim Duncan? Karl Malone's going to go before Tim Duncan?
Karl Malone was a prototype power forward with a hulking physique, running the floor for layups and dunks on passes from John Stockton. He racked up 36,000 points. There's a little more than that. 14,000 rebounds. 19-year career and was original member of the Dream Team. At least 20 points. Averaged at least 20 points. Now, Tim Duncan, the big fundamental, is one of the top power forwards of all time, leading the Spurs to 5 NBA titles. A master of the bank shot with defensive prowess. He is a 15-time All-Star, 2-time MVP, and is 9th all-time in rebounding.
I call me crazy, and maybe it's because we live in New England and we're used to our teams winning some championships, but I value the championships over, personal records.
Who would you rather have? It's two different players, but Karl Malone or Kevin Garnett?
I would rather have in their prime.
Yeah.
I would rather have KG. I thought KG.
Yeah.
I thought KG did more with less. Could he? With Malone and Stockton went to a couple finals and they didn't win, but they had each other.
Yep.
KG had like Sam Cassell.
Yep.
Did KG have another Hall of Famer playing with him until he got to Boston?
Oh, no.
No. So I just
15 All-Star games. 15 All-Star games.
now I would even go back to the top of that list.
Yep.
As big of a Jordan fan as I am, and I just think he's the.
How about this one? Who would you rather have, Scottie Pippen or Kevin Durant? See, this is what drives me nuts about these lists. If Kevin Durant's career ended now, he's not even in the same breath as Scottie Pippen.
What number is Pippen?
Pippen's 34 and Durant's 33.
See, I wouldn't put Durant in front of Pippen.
But so you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you have to look at it in the grand.
I would put Russell ahead of Jordan.
Okay.
I would.
Yeah.
I would put Jordan too. I'm sorry, the Bill Russell. Now here's what I like to do with the NBA too: is you take Russell and put him in today's game.
Yep.
And you take Jordan and put him back in that game, that era. I think Jordan, obviously would have been way.
Doesn't Jordan just make you? Don't you just feel like whatever era Jordan played in, he would be the best? one
do.
of the best.
I really do.
Just,
I really do.
You know what it's funny I was thinking about is I can't remember what made me think about it, but I was thinking about between the Warriors and the Bulls is I personally think that Bulls team was better, but
Yeah.
one of the reasons why is I just felt like the NBA was better back then, and the reason being there was more better teams because not all these guys got together and made big threes.
Yep.
They wanted to play against each other.
Well, hold on one second. I mean, Houston.
Yeah.
They had Drexler joined up with Hakeem,
Yep.
and then Barkley jumped over there,
Yep.
right? I mean, the Lakers. This was a little bit after Jordan and stuff, but the Lakers tried and failed. You brought up a good point too about the Warriors.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about whether or not they're going to lose a game this year, which obviously they're going to lose a game, but Steve Kerr, who's he's their
At
head
some
coach,
point is
he's
going
injured.
to come back. Yeah.
But you mentioned he was on that team.
Yep.
That won 72 games. The
Did
Chicago
you hear what he
team.
said about it?
No, I didn't.
He was basically like, "Yeah, this team isn't as good as that Bulls team."
Really?
Yeah.
He said that?
Yep. Yeah.
No kidding.
He's like and then he was like, maybe if we played on like Mars, it would come down to a Steph Curry shot, but he's like this. Well, like you look at that Bulls team, you had Jordan, Hall of Famer, Pippen, Hall of Famer, Rodman, Hall of Famer. Now, obviously, you're probably looking long term with the Warriors, but you got Curry, who, if he continues on this track, could be a Hall of Famer.
Sure.
But after that, who?
I think Klay Thompson would be the next guy.
Yeah.
He's probably you don't know about.
It's I don't know. It's just now saying that they could go 74-8 and win a title.
See, I did predict. So I did say that I think they're going to break the wins record, and they're going to stay healthy low. And but I do think that if they grind it out and go after that wins record, because I think if they get to a certain point where they're within striking distance,
Go for it.
I think they're going to go for it, which I
Yeah.
think will hurt them come playoff time.
Yep.
Same with the NFL right now. I feel like the Patriots are in a really unique situation.
I'll tell you. You know what? I was thinking about this in the ride in yesterday. No, Tuesday after the game. This is the exact situation that we talked about when after like 2 games and everyone's talking about the undefeated season.
Yeah.
Everything has to go perfect. What if you miss a guy for a game or two?
Yeah.
What? Not season-ending injuries, but just hey, he's going to be out a week or two. Like honestly, this upcoming week against the Broncos, right? You're in a situation. You're 2 games up for home field advantage.
Yeah.
If you think someone's hurt, sit them.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I feel like you win this game. I think you're in
Now
complete
that's the other.
control.
If you win this week, you've won the division. You're 3 up on Denver, essentially 4 because you've beat them.
Yep.
Denver and Cincinnati still have to play each other,
Oh yeah.
so you might be able to rest everyone for the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, and I so let me ask you this. So could you watch Monday night's game?
Yes, it was probably the biggest grind of a football game I've ever watched. Not necessarily the play on the field, but just the dragging out of the game was just
The tempo was just weird.
horrific. Just I couldn't. My wife woke up at 11:15. She goes, "Are they in the 4th yet?" I go, "Nope, we got 5 minutes left in the 3rd." It was
Wow.
it was so bad.
I was long asleep before then.
You know what? She's like, I was watching it in the living room. She's like, "You want to watch the game in bed?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
And then I just kind of kept going and going and going with it. It was bad.
So, Edelman's out.
Yep.
Lewis is gone. Their offensive line seems like it's in shambles. The Brady I saw the other night
Yep.
isn't the Brady we saw
Yep.
the first 9 games of the season.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I just feel like going into Denver Sunday night, I feel like they're going to lose, and they're going to lose bad. Can you talk me out of that? I mean, now Amendola's out.
So like
Dawson's out.
that's a guy like if Danny Amendola, he's hurt. It doesn't seem serious. A week or so. If you're like on Saturday night, like if we really need it, he could play.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're probably sitting him.
See, I would if he could play, I would have him play.
The
Who's Tom Brady gonna throw it to? Like seriously, Gronk,
I feel like I've watched.
Chandler.
I feel like I've watched enough games where I could understand the offense if he needed me.
Well, actually, I talked to Adam for a few minutes today on the phone,
Yep.
and he brought up the point. He goes, "It's so funny." He said it's Amendola, who we feel like couldn't stay healthy for the longest time,
Yep.
is finally healthy,
Yep.
and then when we really need him to be healthy,
He's hurt.
he gets hurt. And what was
Yeah.
he calling for, a fair catch or something?
Yeah.
And he hurt his knee.
One reporter said that he had actually heard it earlier,
Okay.
and kind of decided, not decided, but tried to suck it up, and that's when, then he did the fair catch, and that's when everyone noticed that he kind of limped off the field. But the other thing is that was the last play of the game. He was done after that. So
So
the problem, the thing that scares you is Denver is in a desperate situation. They need to win this game so bad.
yeah,
Not necessarily for the division, but to stay in. It's such a bunch up that they could not even have a bye.
yeah,
So they need it bad, and it's at home. Think about it. If the Patriots go in there and beat Denver
yeah.
at home, all the Broncos fans always complain that every time we play New England, we play them in New England. You finally get them at home, and you lose. It's John Elway might get fired the next day.
Do you think this new QB was Brock Osweiler?
I haven't watched enough of him, to be honest with you.
His numbers. I watched the beginning of the game last weekend, and he seemed okay.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if this kid's the real deal. I'm really curious to see the whole Peyton thing. That's the whole. Want to talk about conspiracy theories and leaking stories out there?
I'm not sure if he's hurt or how hurt he is,
I
because
don't-
there's been many players that basically came out and said, "Hey, you can play through plantar fasciitis, especially if you're a quarterback."
Yeah, Troy
Yeah.
Brown
Yeah.
said he played through it.
Yeah, and all these guys were like, "Hey, I'm a receiver and I played through it. All Peyton has to do is just sit back." Yeah, it's painful, but he's not like running all around the field.
Don't you think it's weird that reportedly he wasn't in team meetings?
He wasn't helping Osweiler out at all.
He
He was
didn't
doing his own.
travel.
Yeah.
He didn't
Weird.
go to the game to throw a headset on and to help his. And okay, Planter.
Just be there on the. You don't have to put it. Just be there to little tips. This
Yeah,
poor kid's making the first start of his career.
Yeah,
He's trying to save your butt.
I 100% believe that. I agree. I don't think he's hurt.
Yep.
I think it was time to. He was what 4 for 5.
Yep.
No, 5 for 20. What the
Yep.
hell did he do?
He was like 5 for 20 and had 4 interceptions.
Yeah,
So we're talking about out of those, he really only completed like 5 out of 24 passes,
yeah.
and for like 40 yards.
Gets
Yeah.
benched. Blames it on injuries. I just think it's just interesting that the Broncos win. They have this young kid or new guy starting, and that night there's a story leak that says Peyton would like to play next year, even if it's with another team. And I just think that's just so Manning-ish to
Yeah.
me. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that leads into the conversation too, comparing Manning to Brady.
Yep.
There's no comparison, and they've brought this up on the radio before, and I think it's the greatest point ever.
Yeah.
You look at how Manning was brought up.
Yeah.
All the Mannings, Archie, Peyton, Eli. Eli saying he wouldn't play for San Diego, forced to trade to New York. But those guys have been handed essentially everything, right?
Yeah.
They've never really had to earn a spot.
Yep.
And you compare that to a Tom Brady who was splitting game time with another quarterback at Michigan.
Till he was a senior.
Yep. And then he was a 6th-round draft pick. He's had to work for every single thing he's ever got.
Yep.
And it's just the comparison between the
someone
two.
brought him up on the radio today. The whole Osweiler thing is like, how they say Brady takes every rep. What Manning is going through right now is what Brady fears every day.
Yeah.
That someone's going to go in there and do it better than him,
Yeah.
and now they can't give it back to him.
Yeah,
Now,
as soon as they get it taken away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, is that going to happen? No. But that's what motivates them, and you're seeing it going through Peyton Manning right now. Is they put the second guy in there, and you know what? He was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I feel like I just feel like there's no comparison between Brady and Manning. I'm sorry, man. Manning's got all these records, but when you take a step back and take off your biased Patriot glasses, it's just like it's not even. It's fun, and it's fun to do the whole Brady Manning thing when they play each other every year in the regular season. But Manning's going to be on his third team
Yep.
probably next year.
Probably.
He's going to end up in some
He's going to end up in like Buffalo.
I hope he ends up in Buffalo.
Can we talk Rex Ryan? I can't take it anymore. I've made a decision. I can no longer take it. He's just. I think I texted Mike this. He is such a tool.
Yeah.
It just and it's weird because when he first came, he didn't bother me. Like he's always been loud
Yeah.
but it's just like he's just so amped up to play the Patriots. It's like it's pathetic.
It's a short-term way to coach. Like I don't feel like how a guy like him is gonna have to bounce around. But then after a couple stops, like you got to start producing.
So I'll give you, so the first, they play in week 2. He goes out there and he hypes it up like it's their Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They go out there, they lose, they give up 40. They're supposed to be the best defense in in NFL. What do you do after that? You're like, okay, week 3, here we go.
Yeah.
So then he goes into this week, saying, hey, we're going to prove that we're on the same championship pedigree as the Patriots. You're not, right? Your offense was horrible. And then after the game, basically, he's like, yeah, we're not on that level. So now your team's like, wait, so what do we do now? It's just so I can't take it anymore. I don't know what.
The scary part is they're probably gonna make the playoffs.
They could sneak into the playoffs, yeah.
And you could play them again in the playoffs because they're one of those teams that.
And it's going to be one of those things where they sneak in and people are going to be like, "Oh, Rex did a pretty good job," which I guess he did, but
How many teams are there in the league? 32.
30
or 32?
32, I believe.
I think they were entering last weekend's play. 21 of them were 500 or
it's nuts.
under. Like they just were. There aren't. It's not. I'm sorry, and we've said this, we're beating a dead horse here, but the quality of just everything in the NFL is just not good. And you saw our Monday night's game. There were whistles being blown. The way the game ended with not even that it matters. They need to.
No, the Bills should have had one more play. The chance of them scoring from the 45-yard line, having to get it into
not even
probably 0.5%, but still they should have fine whatever. I mean, they're blowing whistles before the ball's out of bounds.
But why, if you're paying these guys so much money and you're paying so much money in endorsement deals and fans are paying so much money to get into these games, why in the world? I hear people say the refs can't go full time because they have other jobs, and then you'd have to pay them what they're making there. The money's not an issue, and if these guys don't want to leave their full time, that's the whole point of getting full time referees. Is you ref a game on Sunday, and then you have the whole entire week to study, review film, practice, prepare. It's not like you're doing 9 to 5 throughout the week, and then you get some notes Friday night and you fly out to San Diego.
They kind of I read someone that kind of brought it up was they said, look, I think we talked about it's a lot of the big guys don't want to become full time. Well, you know what? Bye bye.
See you later.
Yeah, and what they said, do it at the end of the year. Say, hey, look, we're looking to make you refs full time. If you want in, great. We can work on salary. If not, we'll see you later. Get your full time guys in. Basically, own them for that off season. And just train them.
I don't know why that's so
the problem with the when they did when the refs were on lockout and they brought in the replacement refs was none of them were prepared because they didn't lock out till like April or August 1st.
Yeah.
So none of them had a full off season to go over the rule book. But don't you feel like you can? Their job's really tough. But don't you feel like if you had 6 or 7 months, you could train college officials to be. Like me and you might not be able to become NFL reps in 7 months, but you've got some competent reps where if you just say, hey, we own you for these next 7 months.
There's probably a waiting list of, like you said, college referees.
That want to be NFL refs.
Other just football referees, no matter whether it's from Canada or wherever. And they have some type of background.
Yep.
And take a few months, whip them into shape. And I just think the league owes it to the players. They owe it to the fans. Because I'm telling you, the product right now, and unfortunately, it is the NFL and it's football, but the product, I think, is just suffering big time. And it's going to come to a head. And
is there a breaking point? What is it?
I don't know what hasn't happened. You know what I mean? Like what? You literally. I mean, that was backup referees. That was in the lockout. But I was going to say when the Was it Seattle Green Bay?
Yeah.
One
When-
guy.
yeah.
I mean, that's classic.
Yeah.
That's freaking classic. So, wrapping up, we're already at the 60-minute mark. It always flies by when we do this. I had a few other things on my list to cover. I don't know if you had any closing thoughts.
I think we covered most of it, to be honest with you.
Couple baseball moves. Jed Lowry back to the A's.
I saw that. Lowry and Lowry are now on the A's. Lowry and Brett Lowry.
Oh.
Yeah.
White Sox sign Alex Avila.
Avilas?
Yeah, whatever. his name is.
Yeah, no, you
The
had
catcher,
Avila. Yeah,
the
excuse
catcher
me,
from the
Avila. Yeah.
Tigers. Alan Webster, who brief stay with the Sox, is now with the Pirates.
Diamondbacks traded him, right?
Yeah, I think they designated him for assignment, and I think they ended up
Trading him, yeah.
Giovanni Soto. Remember, he was a big hit.
Yep.
He's
Where did
with-
he sign?
He's with the Angels.
And Ionetta signed with the Mariners.
Ionetta signed
Yeah.
with the Mariners.
Ionetta's a Rhode Island guy.
Top 50 thing we went over. I guess we talked about it earlier, but the 76ers, hopefully they don't beat the Celtics tonight. Who's going to, are the Warriors going to lose first, or the Sixers going to win first?
I'm going to say
And we don't have the schedules in front of us, so I mean.
I'm going to say the Sixers win before the Warriors lose.
I think the Sixers might win this game, which is kind of scary. So,
Don't you just feel the Warriors are just out to get everyone? And God bless them, because they could be complacent because they won the title, but
that's the most impressive
Yeah.
thing. There's no championship layover.
well, and not only that, you're in a city where they don't win a lot, so they were probably celebrated all summer long. They were
Yeah.
told how great they were. You know, it's not like a city where like maybe a New York or a Boston where you win all the time and they're like, oh yeah, that's great, but you know, that's good. But they never went out there, you know, and they just look so good together. They kept the whole group together. I feel like they did everything this offseason together.
I will say this: in sports, especially in basketball, things can change very quickly.
Yep.
And it wouldn't surprise me if by the next podcast, they've lost 2 games in a row. 3
Yeah.
games in a row. Because
And
it
you know
just
what?
it happens because it just happens quick.
Well, you know, the Spurs are 13-3 too.
Yeah.
And no one's talking about them, but
Are they really
yeah,
13-3?
I mean,
They're talented.
Yeah.
LaMarcus Aldridge, man.
Could-
David West.
couldn't you just see them like kind of going under the radar, winning close to 60 games, and then before you know it, they're in the NBA Finals, and you're like, God, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, what year is it?
yeah.
It's-
is this 90? Is this 2005?
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, hopefully the recorder picked us up. Got a backup recorder just in case.
We should be all right.
Yeah, I hope so. If not, we have to go to Plan B or Plan C. But good talking to you, and we'll catch up next time.
All right, buddy.
See ya.
See ya.